Most people, when they think of the early forms of modern engineering and robotics, jump straight to Leonardo da Vinci, the Industrial Revolution, or sometimes the genius names of Silicon Valley. Yet, in the heart of Mesopotamia, hidden among the ancient pages of history, lies a louder truth, a genius that Western history has generally ignored and overlooked. Approximately 800 years ago, long before computer processors or electric motors were even dreamed of, a Muslim engineer launched a revolutionary project that is woven into the DNA of every machine we use today. He was the man who laid the foundation of automation and cybernetics, breathing motion and function into lifeless metal parts like a soul. And judging by the technologies we use today, he understood us far better than modern engineers do. Welcome to the history of technology, where mechanics, art, and genius merge. And here, no gear turns on its own. To know and understand Al-Jazari, the engineering pinnacle of the Islamic Golden Age, you must imagine a world that is both exotic and technically dazzling. The year is around 1200 CE. While Europe is advancing slowly in the darkness of feudalism, the Mesopotamian and Artukid palaces and centers are like scientific laboratories. Diyarbakir is one of the leading technology centers of that era. While the sounds of water are heard in the palace gardens, these sounds come not only from nature but from the complex machines Al-Jazari invented: hydraulic systems, automatic clocks, water-raising devices. Scholars were blending mathematics with practice and art with mechanics. Palaces were engineering marvels where not only wealth, but also intelligence was presented. And this technological transformation was redefining man's impact on nature. In this universe of evolving technical mastery and curiosity, a genius named Ismail al-Jazari emerges. One part artist, one part mathematician, one part craftsman, one part inventor. Think of him as a master who could simultaneously manage the force of a water drop and the precision of a crankshaft. Born in Cizre in 1136, Al-Jazari reached the summit of practical engineering with high momentum. He served as chief engineer at the Artukid Palace for years. But it wasn't just his talent that made him unique. It was his extreme desire to turn theory into practice. He knew that it wasn't knowledge left in books, but working machines that would effectively rebuild the world. He turned things that theoretical mathematicians called impossible into reality using the copper and brass plates in his hands. Al-Jazari began asking a question that few dared to ask. How can a machine manage itself without human hands? And to answer this, he turned his focus to the essence of mechanisms: automation. This is the part that surprises most modern technology enthusiasts. Al-Jazari was not just a clockmaker. He was the true forefather of cybernetics, the science of self-controlling systems. In those famous manuscripts, thought to have inspired some of the drawings in Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, Al-Jazari treated every single part of a mechanism as a system component. To understand his engineering thoughts, we must first know how he viewed machines. For Al-Jazari, a machine was not just a power source, it was a mechanical reflection of the balance in nature. He compared a mechanism to a body. Just as a body has joints, veins, and a heart, a machine had gears, pistons, and an energy source. Al-Jazari's greatest revolution is the crankshaft, which converts circular motion into linear motion. This is the foundation of everything from the engine of the car you drive to the dishwasher in your home. This idea, which Western engineers only found centuries later, was already working like clockwork in Al-Jazari's 13th century Diyarbakir. And from this foundation, one of his most important insights was born: perfect design, flawless feedback. To him, mechanisms that only looked magnificent but were not useful were a waste of time. He combined beauty and utility in design: the elephant clock, fountains, automatic ablution machines. These were not just simple toys, they were the peak of hydraulic systems. While using water as an energy source, he succeeded in directing it to different places, storing it, and handling it as a timing tool. He defined this as a mechanical mind, an orientation that can be shown as the origin of modern robotic critiques or discussions about artificial intelligence. However, Al-Jazari wasn't just practicing. He saw the system holistically. When parts did not work in harmony, the machine would lock up. This lockup was the failure of the designer. Al-Jazari's complex automata, by saying any science that is not put into practice stays somewhere between true and false, he argued that engineering must be, above all, results-oriented. He achieved what the new generation of engineers today calls closed-loop control systems, using water fountains and valves without any electronic current. This was the transformation of labor and intelligence into matter. Another of his fundamental insights was the minimization of the error rate. The accuracy of measurements and drawings ensured the system's longevity. To him, a project prepared with dedication kept the machine standing, while work built on neglect and guesswork shook it to its core. This might sound like a technical rule to some, but its logic applies to every era. Societies and systems rise with meticulously calculated projects that are focused on. They collapse with one-day crude approaches. However, Al-Jazari did not want to be remembered only for machines. At the same time, he produced one of the most valuable works on the sharing of knowledge. He believed that engineering knowledge should not remain hidden in the hands of a specific group. With his work titled The Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices, he drew and explained every invention he made in such detail that it showed someone else could design it too. This sharing attitude of Al-Jazari did not stem from simple generosity, but from his belief in scientific continuity. While wars and political factors persisted during his time, he knew that what was essential and permanent were functioning systems. Many of his inventions were for solving theoretical and practical problems. The water-raising devices he developed to bring water to towns changed the lives of farmers and the public. Some mechanized animal power to draw water from rivers. Others increased security by producing coded locks. Some designed complex automata for palace feasts. None of these tactics were based on coincidence, and in Al-Jazari's eyes, engineering was a way to improve human life. He believed that technical glitches and inadequate design would destroy the entire system like a chain reaction. The result was technical, but deep as a well. A system is only as strong as its weakest link. Mechanical collapse is sometimes related not to the breaking of a part, but to the end of harmony between parts. The invisible engineering logic that holds every gear, every shaft, and every float together. When this logic is damaged, even the largest machine turns into a pile of junk. Viewed from this perspective, Al-Jazari's thoughts on automata are logical. To him, the stability of the system depended entirely on the honest design of the components. Using missing materials or intentional cheating in calculations was not just bad engineering, it was a betrayal. Hiding an incomplete or weak point of the system was, according to Al-Jazari, only the beginning of massive accidents in the future. 1,000 years later, today, Al-Jazari's dynamics are still actively alive in high-end industrial robots, autonomous vehicles, and smart factories. People now talk to machines and give them different and difficult tasks because they trust the mechanical and digital promises behind them. Meanwhile, the robotic debates and negative thoughts about artificial intelligence in the 21st century reflect exactly what this medieval engineer understood: that systems are ultimately a sequence of logic, and if this logic is established deceitfully, the system stops working or leads to damage. However, Al-Jazari's engineering vision reached beyond gears. He understood something more important about efficiency. Machines make mistakes because their designs harbor human errors. People intend to get results the short way. They manipulate machines because they think they can outsmart the laws of physics. And at the point where maintenance and meticulousness are abandoned in a system, failure is already on its way. This belief guided one of his strongest insights. If you want to fix a machine, you must first understand the design logic that connects it. Sections and parts are important, but behind them all is a design aimed at a goal, moving with physical laws. This is why Al-Jazari emphasized precision and control so much. To him, methodless engineering was not just a waste of time, it was a waste of resources. He believed that technology was not impossible by nature, but simply knowledge applied correctly. A system grows stronger when every part establishes a harmonious communication with the next. But when this communication breaks down, when profit motive or haste gets ahead of quality, the system begins to fail. A poorly designed world eventually collapses under its own confusion. And once it stops, everyone, including those who made it, pays a very high price. Civilizations rise when they use technology as it should be used. They end and fade away when technology loses control. The preface to modern machine theory. We live in a digital age where data moves faster than mechanics, a world where automation spreads to every field. Algorithms make decisions, and machines chat with each other. Everywhere you look, you watch the digital counterparts of the crankshafts, pistons, and control valves, defined by Al-Jazari at work. His crankshaft revolution beats in the middle of the heart of today's internal combustion engines. His feedback mechanisms form the basic logic of today's conscious systems. And his belief that the faith of each part of the system in one another is the foundation of prosperity explains why the nations with the most important technology lead the world today. What surprises modern readers is how little the engineering logic has changed. The energy source is different, materials are not heavier, the scale is at micron levels. The physical and logical rules lying at the very base are the same. Al-Jazari would likely look at our current world, at smartphones, Mars-bound rockets, and drones, and repeat exactly what he wrote 1,000 years ago. Any idea not put into action is but a delusion. This is a technical result. Systems don't work just because codes are processed. They work because every component within the system is in order with one another. They work because logic does not ignore wrong behaviors or errors, human errors, neglect, miscalculation. These, not complex theories, are what push civilizations and machines to their death. Al-Jazari wasn't just bending metal. He was building truth. He understood something that modern engineers sometimes fail to remember. Technology is not a mechanical pile. It is a masterpiece that man's consciousness and mind have engraved upon matter. And when this masterpiece moves away from discipline, what emerges is only a dense wreckage. That is why his thoughts are important right now. In an era defined by autonomous systems, artificial intelligence, and the robotic revolution, his central message becomes a design principle. If technology weakens its bond with discipline and practice, the system will eventually go bankrupt and lock up. Knowing and thinking about this idea is not just technical education, it is building the future. Because technology does not just advance. If you do not know and think about its foundations, it will, despite everything, only leave you halfway. And if this genius has given you a new perspective, subscribe and let's move forward with our other geniuses to add knowledge to our knowledge. Stay well.